What's going on, Jerome's Minnesota Vikings are 3-3 heading into Thursday night showdown against the Los Angeles Chargers. Cool. So here are 11 truths about the 3-3 Minnesota Vikings. Number one, Kevin O'Connell has underperformed, right? And it's patently unfair to blame Kevin O'Connell for everything, but that's what happens when you're a head coach. Like, you're literally supposed to control the weather. Everything starts and ends with you. And I know that roster construction-wise, it would be nice to hit a couple of draft picks, have a little bit more depth, not have to pay through the nose for some of these free agents. But on paper, on purpose, the Minnesota Vikings have one of the most talented teams in the National Football League, right? And just just off the bye, just lethargic, unprepared. Penalties have been an issue all season. Vikings are tied for the second most turnovers in the league since 2022. And it just hasn't been good. And there's a lot to like about Kevin O'Connell. Obviously, reigning defending NFL Coach of the Year. I do believe that he's the guy to win multiple Super Bowls here with J.J. McCarthy once we get that shot. But it's also fair to question, play calling. But the players execute the plays. Well, if the players are not capable of said execution, you have to adjust, right? And it's been a rough season overall. Even out the gates, it just felt like Kevin O'Connell was babying J.J. McCarthy. Just grip it and rip it, right? At a certain point, you can be too safe with things. And I know that Kevin O'Connell is very cautious about organizations potentially failing young quarterbacks. Well, the quarterback has to be out there to have a chance to fail. That's what it comes down to, man. But overall, in terms of emotional EQ, in terms of knowing his players, I trust Kevin O'Connell, and things will get turned around, right? Because they kind of have to. Number two, J.J. McCarthy needs to start. This is perfectly straightforward. Where at minimum, after the mini bye at Detroit, November 2nd, J.J. McCarthy needs to start. I feel like we're beyond the point of Carson Wentz taking this job because, as we outlined a couple weeks ago, the only question you need to have is, can you win a Super Bowl this year with Carson Wentz? If the answer is no, you start J.J. McCarthy when he's healthy, right? And personally, if McCarthy is healthy enough to be limited in practice leading up to Philly, if he's healthy enough to be the third quarterback, you should start him. All right, against the Chargers, Thursday Night Football. I understand the lack of preparation this week. There will actually be no real practices, a couple walkthroughs, but I feel like the league can't pass up McCarthy versus Harbaugh. Yeah. But like we said, even if it's a different quarterback, week 8, it needs to be J.J. McCarthy at Detroit. And I know it's on the road on his first career start. Also, do not care. Right, McCarthy, he's a Michigan man through and through. And a great return, like McCarthy returns the Philippines. That's what it should be. And as we said, Carson Wentz is not the future. J.J. McCarthy, is he the future? We need to find out, right? And you see all these other young quarterbacks who have been given opportunities to start, whether it's Bo Nix, whether it's Drake May, whether it's Jaden Daniels last year, whether it's Jackson Dart. They got an opportunity to start. They got warts. They got great moments as well. You need to get the growing pains out of the way. And I truly believe that J.J. McCarthy is the quarterback to win the Vikings multiple Jerome Bardys in the next 10 years. But he's a peacock. He needs to fly, Captain. Next up, number 3, Brosmer over Wentz. So, initially the whole Max Brosmer thing started off as like a meme. But he certainly showed promise in training camp and preseason. He's very adept at getting rid of the football, taking a profit. Just even if the first read's not there, going through his progressions. He's got a quick release as well. And frankly, Wentz just is not healthy. And that's something that Kevin O'Connell acknowledged coming out of the bye. And it did seem like he re-aggravated either the shoulder or the ribs. And it's not good. And frankly, if Wentz can't go on Thursday night, you start J.J. McCarthy. And if for some reason you deem J.J. McCarthy not healthy to go, you start Max Brosmer. Right? And then you revert to J.J. McCarthy week 9 because if he's not healthy week 9, just cancel the season. Right? But again, it started off as a meme and like the most popular guy in town is a backup quarterback. Well, what about quarterback 3? We're all stars now in the Bro Show. And if you feel comfortable enough with Brosmer as quarterback too, if Carson Wentz can't go Thursday, what's stopping you from inserting him into the lineup? Seeing what he can do. Ski you ma. Number 4, getting away from Jordan Mason. So you've seen this throughout the season. Chicago was immense, and then suddenly you start feeding Jordan Mason, and then J.J. McCarthy gets going, you win. The Vikings had a nice little stretch in the Falcons game, got away from Jordan Mason. Bengals game certainly went with Mason. Then Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Mason had a fumble in the first quarter each one. It is what it is, right? And also Philly in the third quarter, like Mason was definitely tearing things up, had that touchdown, get the Vikings back into things. But it goes back to Kevin O'Connell, and Kevin O'Connell's even freely admitted, he's a quarterback, he wants to throw the pill downfield, but when you're kicking the front seven's ass with Jordan Mason, CJ Hamley in the way, offensive line is getting some confidence, why do you just go away from it? Or use it as part of your offensive identity, run play action, run everything off of that, where Mason needs to stay in the picture, man. And I know that Kevin O'Connell, it's like when Brian Billick, so Brian Billick was OC of the 1998 Vikings, and he was throwing the ball all over the place. He went to BYU. He was, I think he was a grad student for Lavelle Edwards. I think he played for Lavelle too. So it was air raid before air raid, right? And then he goes to Baltimore. They were a bad quarterback team. Trent Dilfer, Tony Banks. They run the ball with a rookie running back Jamal Lewis out of Tennessee, and they had one of the greatest defenses of all time. It's almost like, yeah, we won a Super Bowl, but it's not how I wanted to win, so I'm mad. It's like Kevin O'Connell. Hey, running the ball on offense gives us balance and settles in the offensive line, but it's not how I want to win. Get out of here. Next up, number 5, Jordan Addison is a bona fide superstar. Yeah. And in the 3 games he's been back, 18 catches for 283 and a game-winning touchdown on 26 targets, including 9 catches against the Eagles. He truly is that dude, right? And Jefferson is obviously the best wide receiver in the National Football League, getting doubled and tripled and bracketed every single snap. But, Addison has greatly benefited, and he's developed some quick chemistry with Wentz. He obviously had chemistry with McCarthy in training camp So I'm free 3, man. Honestly, how many games we got left? All right, we got 11 games left. I think Addison's going to get over 1,000 yards. He's certainly on pace, even after he was suspended the first 3 games of the year. All right, so big time respect to Jordan Addison. Right now, I would lean towards extending him. Yeah, and one of the ways to do that would be number 6, trade T.J. Hockenson. Now, this is not because his touchdown was ruled a drop, certainly not. But this is something that's been on the back burner for a while, where the Vikings extended Josh Oliver, and they've shown that he's still more of a blocking tight end, but he does have soft hands, right? And he can be a receiving threat as well. But Hockenson, he's 28. He's got 2 years left on his contract. He's out of guaranteed money these last 2 years. He does have a $21 million cap hit in 2026, $17 million base and change. So something's going to have to be done about that contract either way, because I don't think that he plays next season on that contract full freight. So I think some adjustments will have to be made, or they can move him. Right now, landing spot isn't that clear right now, as most of the teams that will be buyers at the trade deadline are pretty damn good at tight end. But it could be a spot where, do you keep Hockenson at 17, 18 million per year, or do you keep Addison at 30 million a year? It may be a binary either or situation in that spot. Number 7, maybe Blake Brandel isn't a center. And I feel bad for him, because he had a really good game, first career start at center against the Browns. Really stood tall against one of the best pass rush in the NFL. And then yesterday, so the third down snap went over Wentz's head, set up the 59-yard field goal. The Jalen Carter instant pressure led to the pick 6. Touchdown wiped out by an extremely ticky-tacky hold, and also it just was a mess in the red zone, right? And just struggled with Carter and Davis all day. And for the most part, the offensive line played okay, except for Randall. Felt kind of bad, but maybe he's not the center of the future. Yeah. Number 8, the Ivan Pace Jr. benching could be good. So Blake Cashman returned to the lineup, had 4 tackles against the Eagles, and it was noteworthy because Eric Wilson was the other starting off-ball linebacker. Wilson had 6 tackles as well as a sack and a half, so he continued his very strong play. And we even said when Cashman was returning, it wouldn't be insane if Pace sat, and Pace didn't have any defensive snaps, played mainly on special teams. And this really is a fork in the road moment for Ivan Pace Jr., where he was basically an instant starter, when he was undrafted. Essentially, this is a contract year for him as he's an exclusive rights free agent next year. And it could go 2 ways, where he could take this to heart and process it and come back with even more determination, or he could just basically mentally check out. Just like, all right, I'm not starting anymore, whatever. I feel like it's going to be the former rather than the latter, but we'll certainly see. Like, he could force his way out of town, be on another team, whatever, or he could internalize this and come back even stronger with the Vikings. Right. Next up, number 9, Zay Rodgers will be fine. So, it's so rough, man, because after the European excursion, we talked about this yesterday, where the Cincinnati game was the best game for a defensive back in NFL history, and then back at U.S. Bank, the Eagles game might be the worst for a DB in some time. But 5 catches, 551 yards allowed, a touchdown on 7 targets, 30.2 yards per catch. Gave up the backbreaker, basically the game ender against A.J. Brown, gave up 100 yards receiving in man coverage against Devontae Smith. It was just not good. Plus, you saw like some sick idiots, sent Isaiah Rodgers some pretty nasty things. No room for that, man. It's nonsense. So I do believe that Zay Rodgers will be fine. I think he'll bounce back. I think he's still playing at a Pro Bowl, All-Pro level. Yeah, and we talked about, like, his coverage has been good. His tackling has been good. It just didn't work yesterday. Lastly, number 10, Will the Thrill. Now, with kickers, we don't want to jinx things, so I'll just say that he's been good. All right, 5 for 5 yesterday, long of 59. Would have a perfect season so far if he didn't have that kick that bounced off the cable count against him, but it happens. Oh, bonus one, Jalen Redmond is becoming a legitimate superstar before our eyes. And honestly, you can make a very good case that Jalen Redmond's been the best defensive lineman of anyone on this team so far this season. It'll be good. Lastly, number 11, next 2 games are going to determine the course of action for the rest of the season. So you have at the Chargers, at Detroit. If the Vikings come out of that, because remember the trade deadline is on November 4th, so right the Tuesday after the Lions game on Sunday. If the Vikings are 3-5, I don't see them being buyers at the deadline. Frankly, they could be sellers, trying to clean up some of those contracts. It is what it is. But 4-4, hopefully 5-3, the Vikings should and could be buyers at the deadline. Right now, not exactly what position you target. Corner, sure. Offensive line depth, sure. But I don't know. But if the Vikings somehow, some way do fall to 3-5, I feel like all bets are off. Could be Hawkinson, could be Addison, could be, don't want to say Darisaw, could be O'Neal, could be Jonathan Allen, could be a lot of moves considered. But hopefully it doesn't come down to that. Hopefully the Vikings will get their ish together and start going on a little bit of a run, because honestly, these next 4 games, the Chargers have been kind of flaky. We always say that the Chargers are the AFC Vikings. I guess it's kind of true. Yeah, Detroit's going to be a huge matchup. Then you're at home against Baltimore. Lamar should be back, but that defense is bad. The Bears at home already beat their ass once. We need to interject some humility with these Bears. Congratulations for being the Saints at home, by the way. Good job. So this season's far from over, right? And I know it's easy to feel glum now, but Vikings are getting healthy. The Vikings are frankly getting J.J. McCarthy back, and we're going to have a foretaste of the things to come. It's going to be beautiful. Anyways, that's it. Tell the Truth Monday. You guys are the best you know what to do. Skull production value.